Welcome to Unqualified Not Disqualified. Thank you again for joining us. It is me here with Nathan today, which is absolutely wonderful. We have Jake over here.
We do.
And it's great to see him. He was behind the camera last time, and this time he's in front of the camera.
Yes,
I was in front of the camera for a minute last time.
Oh, you were, yeah.
Yeah,
But mostly behind.
And AJ here is our cameraman, and then for those who are not watching, he is currently in front of the camera. Make sure you say hello. He's wonderful.
We're not sure he knows how they work yet.
Yeah,
So.
we just kind of showed up, and we just said we'll use him, you know?
Yeah.
And
He's here.
That's how the good things
We
work.
use people.
All right, so and a couple of updates. Well, we'll start off with this. We're currently in a house with a bunch of people,
Yes.
including a baby. So if you hear any noises and anything like that, just, kind of keep that in mind. That's why. Otherwise, from here on out, we're going to try our best not to plan it on these type of nights. But anyway, and then as you saw, those of you that watched our first podcast,
Yes.
you saw that if you looked at the description, it said me, Tim, and Michael. Unfortunately, we lost Michael. He's not dead.
He's not dead.
So thank God for that. But he has a lot of things going on in his life right now that he's just busy and he doesn't have the time for it, and that's okay. It's unfortunate. It is sad, but we might revisit it, and he might come back on with us at some point. But right now, it's not the season for it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say also that it is cold and flu season, and I
Yeah.
think all three of us have hit the cold last week.
Yep.
I'm still getting over it. These two sound perfectly healthy. You lucky
I'll
dog.
be honest with you. Up until today, I had I was clearing my throat all the time. I wasn't really able to talk that well. And then now I'm like, okay, let's run it. Let's roll.
It was nice for about a week. He was quiet. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, not
great.
that he would know because he doesn't.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, he knows. He has
I know.
to hear about it.
He knows.
Oh my goodness, Nathan won't shut up again. And it's just like, why are we at this family dinner like this? But
I don't know why that's always a topic. Like, Nate won't shut up. Well, I mean, I guess I just don't. So it's
and for some reason, he started a podcast to try to help that, and it just made it worse.
Right. I mean, it's okay.
It just now gives him a stage to talk.
Right.
Yeah. People pretend
Yeah.
to listen to him now, so it's
Yeah. But tonight,
yeah.
we are going to talk about what we're going to talk about
What it specifically says in the title.
What would a man do?
Yeah.
And wow.
I mean that's a lot right
what
there.
What would a man do?
That's a lot.
Like that's definitely a question. It's like there's a lot of things a man would do. Not all of them are good. There's a lot of them that are like, no, I don't know if you should be doing that. Being a man, you're supposed to be a leader. So, there's definitely things like that. But that's just human nature.
What do you think a man is? Like, you're talking about like what a man would do, but what's like generically, like, what do you think a man is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think for me, like, a man is like the macho man. Like, we're talking macho man Randy Savage, where you're just like, these muscles are massive, and I am the greatest of all time, and I don't know what else to say that's macho.
Just insert some muscles there.
Yeah, just extra biceps, please. Listen, I have scrawny arms. I fully admit it. So I kind of failed at that. But that's what I always thought like a man was supposed to be, because that's what my dad was. Is like this big guy.
Your dad's a unit, yeah.
Like big guy, but he's also got these really big muscles from working the farm. Yeah. And he'd always tell us like, oh, when I was a teenager, I just threw bales of hay like a man.
Yeah.
And
all of our parents have those type of
and it's those kind of things. It's those kind of.
I walked 27 miles to school.
Uphill both ways, it's good time. But like those are the kind of like stereotypical norms that you heard for a man. And like what do you think that like is that still true for you guys? Is like what do you think a stereotypical man is? I'll begin there. Like where is that?
I don't think what a man is has changed. I think society wants to change what a man is. I don't think men have changed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, what a man is has not changed.
Right.
I think society is trying to change what they label a man.
That's true.
What they want a man to be.
Right.
But for anyone who ever, like you said, you have an image of what your dad, he was a man.
Right.
Yeah.
That image for you has not changed.
Right.
No,
Society
it's
can
still
try
my
and
dad,
change
yeah.
what they want a man to be, but in
Right.
your mind, it's always going to be,
Yeah.
again, macho
Yeah.
man
Yeah,
dad,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so to me, that's no matter what society tries to tell us, you know, it doesn't change what a man really is.
No, it's true, and that's the thing though. Like, God didn't call us to be prideful, but He called us to be men.
Yeah.
It's like He called us to be people that are leaders, people that are like, okay, this is what me and my household are doing. This is what we're doing. This is, and why we're doing it is because that's what God has called us to do, right?
Yeah.
It's all about that. If you don't have God at the center of your life, are you really a man at all?
Wow. So I think the consensus is this like muscle bound person, but like, is that where you think as you've grown up, is that where you think the genericness of a man has become? Because like for me, like as I grew older into a teenager, it slowly developed to this like old man respect where it's like these old men and they just kind of come in and they give you a handshake and they'd be like, that's not how you do a handshake, boy. And they teach you how to do a proper handshake, and like their hands were sore and gristle and tough. And that kind of became this new perception where it's like it's big and strong, but it's also this sense of respect that kind of comes in. And it's like,
and I think strength is a good way of putting it, because strength it goes into more than just, you know, muscle. It's strength in every regard.
Right.
Yeah.
Being emotionally strong. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the man's job. It is, you know, biologically God created us to be the stronger of the two, and there's nothing that's not good or bad. That's just how we were created.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, even beyond just the physical, but the mental. Men were just created to be strong.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's true. It is. And that's the thing. Like, I want to like stress this too. There's a lot of women that are also strong. There's
absolutely.
There are women who have
like,
been,
you know,
that I've met that are physically, mentally, and abilically stronger than I am.
Yes.
And they've made fun of me for being weaker than them. That's absolutely true.
That part
You'll
might
have
not
that.
be right.
You'll
But,
have
you know, nonetheless. But yeah, it's like you got to be careful with what that mindset is, though, because easily you can get prideful. Like, oh, I got muscles. You know, I got this and that. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. Like, you're not as good as me. Like, and this and that. Like, but that's not what life's about. You're supposed to be a leader. And sometimes, yeah, you do lead other men. Sometimes you're the leader of an organization, whatever it is, and it's like, okay, but just because you're the leader doesn't mean that you have to be prideful. The people that are prideful, why would you want to follow them anyway?
Yeah,
like, you find a leader, you're like, okay, that guy right there, he has the mindset of, I'm here to lead you. I'm not here to make fun of you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to uplift you. Yeah, I'm going to give you words of encouragement. Like, you might not want to be doing that, dude. But, like, at the end of the day, it's not about, like, you know, doing all the, I'm better than you. Because if it is, then what kind of leader are you?
All right.
I mean, I think just today at work, we had, 4 guys on a job, right? And so if there's 4 guys, one job. So they're all working together. They're all doing their individual tasks. But the problem that occurred was that there was 3 leaders and 1 person that was willing to work.
Yep.
And so 3 different people had all these ideas, because this was a job that required high skill and high knowledge. And so these 3 men were put on it because they are skilled men. They are knowledgeable men. But all 3 of them wanted to lead. And so they had 2 different ideas. And they were like, oh, we got to do this and we got to do that. Just to say what we were doing, we were bending 2-inch pieces of steel about from a flat position to probably a 45. And so you got to heat it to a certain temperature to make it to bend. And you have to put it in a right fixture in order to do it. But these 3 men started to lead as if they were all 3 leaders. And you can't have 3 leaders. And, you know, even though Brother Michael isn't with us right now, he brought up this point of, as a man, I don't need to win in order for you to succeed.
True.
And
that's so good.
It's such a good point, because once again, talking about coming from like a kid's standpoint, you're taught like you got to win.
Right.
But as we're growing up and becoming men, I've really learned that step that he talked about is like, I don't need you to lose in order for me to win.
Right.
And I don't know if there's like a good example for this, but I just think like that was the best example. It's like these are 3 leaders, but you don't have to lead. One of you can follow, and you both can win. Right. And I think as Nathan talks about being the head of the house and the head of everything like that, that's kind of what we need to do. Is that even as Christian men, is that I need you to win with me. You know, I need you to come up with me and do things. You know, I have Nathan here, and we've grown up together, but we haven't fought each other on the way up. Right. We've come up together.
I mean, we've had disagreements, but everybody that's human is going to have a disagreement with somebody.
Oh, we've had many disagreements. I guarantee.
But I mean, I think it's just so important to realize that you're not what Tim said. You don't have to have someone else lose in order for you to win. Like, yeah, if you're playing a soccer game, a football game, you have to win and someone's going to lose. But, like, that's not what the point is. We're trying to put across, like, us 3 can do a task like they did, and we can all get it done together, and we all win. We don't have to be like, oh, Jake, you're not doing your part, so we don't need you. We show Jake, hey, you know, this is what we need you to do. If you need help, let's do it together. That's what it's about. Yeah. That's what a man should be.
Well, and I think of it this way. If I asked you, would you rather have the best, whatever, IT technician, right? The best, just one though.
Yeah.
Or would you rather have 1,000 working together to do the same work?
Right.
Who's going to get it done faster? Who's going to be more efficient? Yeah, the one guy, he might have more knowledge than all of those 1,000 combined. Yeah. But when you put that 1,000 together, you can't beat that.
True.
So again, back to your point of growing together. Yeah, sure, he might be better than them as far as what he knows, his knowledge, his skill. But that 1,000 is going to grow 1,000 times faster than he is. It's just it's how it works. So yeah, to your point, I mean, growing together, absolutely. But I think that takes humility.
It does.
It really does. I mean,
it does.
I think as a man, and I want to go kind of back to this point of like, we were always taught that we had to win, and specifically as growing up, you know, like there's video games, there's sports, there's, you know, just like running to the store. It's like, oh, I can beat you to the store, and we get this mindset, and we grow up and like, oh my goodness, I have to win. I have to win today.
Yep.
And we need to change that from this biblical man aspect of where we've been taught to be a man, and take a step back and say, you know what, I can learn.
Right.
You know, I can be the lesser man. You know, I need to be the one that is taught. I don't need to be the leader today, and that's hard for me to do. I want to be a leader like all the time. Right. But like. Where I am right now, I'm learning like every day that there's so many people who are stronger than me in the faith. You know, I just like as an example,
that's a good thing.
It is a great thing. As an example, there was an old lady in our church, right? And we have all these old ladies at our church that are like, you know, 50s, 60s, and they're just, you know, really.
And he just called 50 to 60 old. I want to know. They hear.
Listen. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Dad.
Say,
both of them are.
My mom as well, and my stepdad, and my dad.
He said,
and a lot of other people.
My parents.
Anyways, back to your point.
I apologize to my own parents who are above 50 and 60,
and everybody else that listens to our podcast.
If you're twice my age, I apologize, but I think you're old. So
if you want his address, I can get it.
Guys, I'm gonna die.
Hopefully not.
Anyways,
but what I'm saying is that she prayed for like 5 minutes,
right? And
it was the most powerful, impactful prayer I've ever heard in my entire life,
right?
And it's like I wanted to take that prayer, but I learned something from her. And it's not that like, oh my gosh, I just lost at prayer. Right. Like, guys, I just lost at praying, guys. Like, I had to take the L from this old lady. No. I learned how to pray better. Now, like, that's where we need to come in as men. And we need to start taking those moments and teaching the young ones, but more like ourselves, because we're young, and learning from these older people and taking in this stuff.
Right.
You know, because we don't need to beat out these older people in our lives.
That's true.
We can do it with them.
Yeah. And we should do it with them.
Yeah.
We should do it with them. No, we can. We should. Because they have so much more knowledge than us.
You know why? The Bible says wisdom cries out in the street.
Right.
I mean, like you said, there's wisdom with age. And it's up to you listen to it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's up to you to hear it, to apply it. I mean, and again, that comes back to pride.
Yep.
Of they said this.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, like you said, they're old. What do they know what they're talking about? Right?
Yeah, you just say that sometimes.
I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I just got trained on this. I can do this better.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, after you've done that for 3 months, you realize,
what am I doing?
exactly.
I really wish I would have taken.
I'm
some
glad the
chemical.
school really helped me and like all
But
this.
there's just and this is not even a biblical thing. It's just a
life.
a life thing.
Yeah.
But I just think we live in a society where you have so much information here that you think, oh well, I know more because I've seen that. I've seen it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. Real world application, I think, is something that our generation is sorely lacking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think sorely lacking.
Yep.
They just there's so much of a I know everything.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to listen to that elder.
Yeah.
That's seen some stuff. I mean, it's again, this is just a very real world topic, but yeah. There's my tangent. Sorry.
I mean, I was like, keep going. I was like, keep going.
Not biblical. It's just I hate to see that in our own generation.
Right.
And that comes back to the winning together. I want to see our generation.
Yeah, I want to see
be
it
the
succeed.
winningest, right? I don't want to see our generation
lose.
Down here. Of course, I feel like the guys in this room, we're doing well for ourselves. We have the right priorities. So I don't think that we really fit into the view of our generation that people have, the view that people have. But at the same time, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll give an example of what I've heard of our generation. So my boss has I think it's his nephew / like weird family son-in-law thing, but not son-in-law, but some sort of weird relation. And he's the exact same age as me. And so he is like, man, I hate him. He plays video games 24/7. He pees his pants and he walks around the house with pants peed, wet, all over the house, and he walks around. And I think he sees me in that same way. And I'm like, man, I absolutely hate those people. But it's like, but that's our generation. That's part of it, you know? And the other half of the generation is like you said, it's the people around here. It's like, we've looked at it and we're like, man, I hate our generation because it's stupid that people would want to live this way because they're gaining nothing for themselves.
Right. So
there just isn't any drive.
No. And I couldn't, I was like, I understand how you can live like this because it's comfortable, but
it's easy.
Yeah. But he also says that he complains all the time about his life. And I'm just like, what life? It's like you
don't have one.
You play video games 24/7 and pee your own pants.
Yeah. Well, and it's just there's so many people in our generation. I know so many people that I either went to school with or just worked with at one point, and it's like there's no drive to better themselves. And just I can't.
It's sad.
I can't think of a past generation that has ever had that issue.
Yeah.
There's no drive to better themselves, and that's just not human to me. That's completely inhuman.
It's what we live.
It's crazy to me. And this is again a more real world application. Working in finance like I do, I can't turn off numbers, right? I'm always thinking of like retirement, right? That's me.
Real life. It's real
I
life,
want to retire well someday. And to me, I guess I always think like everyone wants to retire, right? Like everyone's planning for retirement.
Yes.
But I look at our generation and there's no thought of that. There's none.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
I think there's just this like, oh well, yeah, of course I'll retire someday. But there's no like they're not doing anything to try. Like I don't think people realize that first of all you should be starting at our age, right?
Yeah, if you don't
and
know,
our parents and our grandparents started at our age.
Yep.
There's no thought of it because it's just living in the here and now. Oh well, I don't want to work a full-time job. I'm good with working Wendy's 13 hours a week and there's just no drive.
You pay your bills, you go home.
Yeah. It's eat, sleep, and whatever else they do because they don't work. I don't know. It blows my mind.
I understand from like a physical aspect. It's like, dude, I'd love to do that, but like looking at the future, you're like responsibilities.
Sure, I'd love to have the amount of time off that a lot of people our age seem to find.
Our cameraman just raised his hand. And said yes. I gotta put that out there. He volunteered.
I'd love to have that kind of time, but it's just not real. Like, what are you actually? You're not working towards anything. I won't give that up for time.
I was just say where I've been lately, because I've been sick, is that I've been sleeping a lot, and I've just not been doing anything that I wanted to do. And since like I started a project and I got really, really busy, I've enjoyed that life more than being lazy on the couch and like sitting on Facebook and scrolling for 2 hours or something. Just doesn't like I realize the distaste for it now, and it's weird to say, especially for our generation. Our generation, that's all we do. Like even while we're at work, I see a bunch of them just scrolling TikTok every once in a while, just like, oh, TikTok, take a vape, whatever. But you know, we as the next men coming up need to change this. Yeah. And I really think that like it's not easy to start anything, you know, to start changing your ways and changing your steps. And I think really what it comes down to is accountability. And this kind of thing that's I think is also lacking in our generation is the accountability for your actions. Right. You know, and oh my goodness.
Just to kind of go back to where we were at just a second ago with the type of jobs that we're having, it's okay to have those type of jobs, like those like lower paying jobs.
Oh, I'm in no way saying that that's not okay. I mean, just like I see people that are mid-20s who should be just at a social level should be working towards a career, like at least attempting to, whether or not you can get your career going. That's hard. That's hard. Okay, that is not easy. Finding your space, not easy. Not trying is unacceptable. Yes, that's my again, not dogging on people that have worked in the fast food industry and whatever you do. Even just do something. And there's just so many people not doing.
I just
something.
wanted to clarify that because I mean
that's a very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're working at like Wendy's or whatever, we're not being like, well, you're not doing anything. Like
you got to do it.
No, but like
it's a grind out there. I get
it's hard.
Whatever you got to do. Absolutely. I'm not. But there's people of our generation, I can say it because I see it, that are not trying, and that's to me, it doesn't feel human. It doesn't feel natural to not try to further yourself, further whether like if you work wherever you work, furthering your job, right? I try to further our financial industry, like you just working towards something is very human. And it just seems like our generation is lacking that drive to work towards something.
It is. And I think it's the mindset of like, oh, well, we don't have a good president or like whatever. There's always an excuse.
There's a lot of excuses.
There's always an excuse to not do good. It's like, oh, well, the economy, the this and that. Get a job. Put money towards.
Listen, I'm going to be, it hurts. It hurts. And that's something I want to say is that no matter where you are in your life, no matter what you do in your life, no matter what you say, anything you do hurts. Yeah. Anything. Like if you woke up yesterday and you put on a pair of pants, sometimes it hurts. That's not a good thing. But that's what I'm trying to say.
Me.
This didn't hurt putting on.
Not today. But I'm saying anything that you try to do different is going to be hard. It's going to hurt. And I understand.
There's no growth without pain.
There's no growth without
pain. No.
I think that's why they call them growing pains.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Fact check me on that.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about that.
But you look at people who work out, who bodybuild. They break themselves down so that they can build back up. It hurts. It's supposed to hurt.
We kind of talked about that in our first podcast where we were like, when you're going through something, when you're going through change or pain or whatever it is, you're going to feel that and you're going to have to continue whether you want to or not. Yeah, you're not always going to want to continue. It's not easy to continue sometimes.
In fact, you're always going to want to not.
Yeah. Which
it's a constant fight. You have to fight that. Do I want to go to work every single morning? No, there's mornings I don't want to go to work. Right. I love my job. I love what I do. I enjoy my job. But there's a random Wednesday once in a while where I'm like, man, it'd be nice not to go to work.
Golfing sounds fun.
Yeah, anything, right?
Great.
Yeah. But you know what? I put on my pants and it doesn't hurt. And I
really put my foot in my mouth, didn't I?
I go to work. It's just and to me, that's being a man as well. Even just being consistent, being consistency.
Yeah.
I think that's we're called to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's biblical.
I think it comes back to what I was trying to say is this accountability that we're missing. And I love what it says here in Ezra 10:4, New King James Version. Arise, for this matter is your responsibility. We are also with you. Be of good courage. This is hard. We will take responsibility for what we have done. That's kind of what I think we're missing, is that we have a laziness, but it is this drive to not take responsibility.
Yeah.
To where we're looking at this moment, this very small moment in our lives, and we're not taking responsibility for the things that we're doing. And back to what I said earlier when I was talking about old men and their handshake, when you do a handshake like that, men aren't looking for your strength like we were talking about, these macho man strength. They're looking for your ideas and your accountability. They're looking to see what kind of man you are. Because if you give a bad handshake, you're probably a bad man. And it's like, is that really true? But it is true for these old men have learned. And I can attest that I've gotten a bad handshake before, and I then was like, I'm not going to take this deal.
Well, even I think,
and it's
with handshakes, just on a very simple level.
Yeah, it's a very simple level.
When I go to shake someone's hand, to me I don't want to be limp wristed, right?
Yeah.
It comes back to an appearance thing more than anything for me. I want to appear as a respectable person. I want to appear as a strong individual. And again, you give a limp-wristed handshake, I'm gonna go, right? So
that's what I'm saying. Is it from that age, it taught me that accountability from a very simple standpoint of a handshake.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh my goodness, a handshake taught you what taking responsibility is. Like, yes, it is, because the handshake taught the things behind the handshake. Because when I talk about hands, and my hands are a little bit more calloused here than probably Jake's. Jake's here is a banker.
I type on a keyboard.
Oh,
leave me alone.
I was gonna say he's a banker. He does not.
The tips of my fingers are calloused.
But okay, so we're gonna go with Nathan then. Nathan here just doesn't do
anything.
The same man. He doesn't do the same manual labor that I do. I got a little bit of a grit to my hands, and they're a little bit rough, and so I take things a little bit more grit, a little bit more rough. And so if I'm trying to sell you, right, I'm gonna sell you hand lotion soft body wash, and I have hands like these. You can call me an idiot because my hands are rough. But it's the same thing with your responsibility that we talk about, is that your responsibility that you see is through your actions and through your hands. And when I talk about these hands, I mean, like, if you're buying a wood product from me and you're like, I've hand sanded this and hand painted it, and I really took my time and did it by hand, and my hands are so soft that you're just like, this is baby smooth hands, you're going to be the most suspicious from me. And me personally, I'd rather have a banker who has smooth hands, because it means he's typed on a keyboard and not try to build something because he can't sell his product or sell something like that because he has to do his own work. And it's just this accountability of your own eyes, where you're taking that responsibility as a man and you're seeing it. And you're like, man, I see it on your hands. I see it in your face. I see it in your eyes. I see that you've wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing we need to do as a man, is to take that responsibility and to present it out there as well, and not just be in this wall of like, this is who I am.
Kind of to shift a little bit. One of the topics that we wrote down was, is there ever a time that you thought a man was the wrong choice? And I kind of took a little bit of a twist on this one. And I was like, there have been times that I have went to the hospital, and I'll just kind of, there's been times where I went to the hospital, many times where I went to the hospital, and I started to feel like the hospital was my second home.
It was.
But I worked at the hospital, and he was there more than me. So.
But
it's true.
It's like, when do you feel like there's a wrong time? I don't think that there's ever a wrong time, but I'll be honest with you. When I had a couple of surgeries or like anything like that, like I had a female stitch up my arm. And that presence, there's definitely a presence when you're in the, there's a female that is a nurse for you, and she's doing those things like stitching up your arm or something like that. That calmness, there's definitely a calmness there. So it's like, is a man ever a wrong choice? No. But is there times where having that female do that type of work, like a nurse, like being the person that's stitching up in your arm, does it help? Absolutely. Absolutely, because there's a calmness there that she brings. It's like, you know, there's like, I'm gonna do this, and we're not. I'm gonna go slow, so that way you're not like in a lot of pain. Like, but like I want to just like say that there's definitely times where it's a woman's job, just like there's times where it's a man's job, and I think that's like there's certain times where that is the case, and like. So, I mean, it's important to remember that, I feel like.
I'm going to be a little bit controversial here, and I'm going to say that you're absolutely wrong. For the one simple fact of, I think I'm a little bit of this is like my one progressive thing. There's no such thing as a thing that a man could do that a woman can't do, or a woman can do that a man can't do. There are certain things. Let me put that out there forward. Even though I just said it, even though I just said there's nothing, there are some things. And if you do not know what those things are, that's okay. But there are certain things, and those are my lines. But like a woman should be, if there's woman problems, you're a woman, you got it, man. But as far as like work like that, like stitches, a man or a woman could do it. As far as like teaching, man or a woman could do it. Because the thing that you're like, I see it because I'm the opposite here. Because I do something that it's normally a woman's job to do. So I run a Sunday.
Herein lies.
Herein lies why I say it. So I run a Sunday school, right? And if I get some new people in and they don't really know me, and I get them into my classroom, the parents will look at me and they'll be like, "A man, okay," and they're just like hand them off, and it's like I'm friendly, I'm nice, and it's everything like that. But it's like it feels weird for me. Because they're very uncomfortable giving their children away to a man, and on the other hand, it's like, is this safe? Is this man going to kidnap my children? And I understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the reason why I started doing Sunday school is because they had so many young boys in Sunday school, and they were taught by nothing but women, and you're teaching your young men how to be women then, and so they're like, listen, can we get you in here to be a man? To teach these men how to be good, godly men into this area. And I think the exact same thing is applicable in our lives where, you know, you're scared to pass it off sometimes to something that's a little bit off. You know, like I said earlier, there's a woman who's stronger, better, and smarter than me, but she's a woman. So someone would probably trust, because it was in my field of welding, trust me welding rather than her because, you know, she's a girl.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify what I meant by that. There isn't jobs where like a man can do and a woman can't. Like, I wouldn't say that, but for instance, my sister just gave birth, and I feel like she was so much more comfortable with the fact that they were women nurses that were helping her. And like, I think that there's jobs where it's like, yeah, I'd rather a woman do that, and that's
and that's human nature. I mean, there's human nature to expect certain people to be in certain roles, and there's nothing wrong with that. Where I think you're both right. I think, yes, there's traditionally roles that a woman plays or a man plays. I don't think that means that a man or a woman can't do it, as Tim said. I just think, to your point, sometimes, yeah, I mean, if I'm getting stitched up, maybe I don't want the 6'6", like hands are bigger than my head guy with a tiny needle, right?
I mean, like, I understand that, but
I might want the more gentle touch of a woman. Because she's just, she's not going to rip my skin apart while she's doing it. Guy's not going to care. His mindset might be, and
I've experienced both, so which is why I can
does
say
that mean that both aren't good at their jobs? No, they're both excellent at their jobs.
Absolutely.
So again, you're both right. Right.
To my point, what if it was a 6'6" woman? I mean,
that's again, if her hands are bigger than my head, I don't think I want to stitch with my arm.
Kind of thing,
let's move on from that. Yeah. But just to kind of move on from that.
But yeah, I guess
that's a dead end.
the last thing I want to say before we go is that don't be afraid if you are a man to take something that's a little bit more delicate, because there's still young men that need to know that it's okay to do these things. Just because it's normally a woman's job doesn't mean a man can't do it. No, and the reverse is true too.
Sometimes you have to step into a role, whether you want to or not. I mean, if your wife passes away and leaves you 2 kids, you're mom now, right?
Yeah,
like
your mom, your dad.
Role. So I think a lot of times people are put in a position where, they have to take on the role. So yeah, it just a lot of times it's situational, but
yeah,
anybody can do anything. There we go.
Good. But because Nathan jumped there, I want to jump back to what we were talking about before, is taking this responsibility, and you know, even to continue off of what we were talking about, is taking responsibility as a young man and accepting that you messed up. Because I think that's something that I think as I've learned as a man is like one of the keyest points. One of the main key points for anything is to take responsibility for what you've done. Like, there's nothing in this world that people hate more than somebody that goes, you know what, I messed up, but you know, if I just did this little thing, it would have been 100% better, and I would have made it 100% better for this, and this, and this, and I could have done a lot better. You know that? Instead of going, I was wrong. And just look them straight in the eyes and just, I was wrong. And that's kind of where we've been missing is that, like, that used to be the classic case for a man, is just look you in the eyes and say, I was wrong. I'm going to make it right. I'm going to make it right. But you know what? I was wrong. Yeah. And
well, even from a leadership standpoint, I think we've lost a lot of that. And obviously in the political realm, if one of our politicians makes a mistake, which they do.
What happens?
You're human.
Yeah.
You don't see on TV, you don't see them own it, right? There's just so much, and it stems down to every level. And I'm not saying it's the government's fault that leaders don't take accountability. It's just it's easier not to.
Right.
If you have a way around
it.
If you have a way around it, you know, the thought process is, well, why wouldn't I take it out, right?
Yeah. I mean,
why would I take accountability? It doesn't gain me anything to take accountability.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it does. You do gain something. You gain the respect of the people that you're leading.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot of leaders don't have that. They don't. And kind of rambling here.
It's okay. It happens.
As someone who's been in both follower and leadership positions at different times, I can honestly say, I would so much rather follow someone who's made umpteen mistakes but can say, yep, that's my fault, I did that, I did that, and we can learn and we can grow from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than follow someone who makes the same amount of mistakes and won't own up to
confess. Yeah.
I would rather work for the guy that's honest.
Yeah,
I'd rather work for the guy that knows this. He knows he messed up.
Yeah.
What's the point? He knows that. What's the point of trying to skirt around this? And no, you're gaining my trust by telling me you messed up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
it's true.
It's in James 5, but I can't find it. Apparently, I didn't put it in my notes. But it says, "Let your yes be yes, and let your no be no." And I really feel like that's kind of where where we need to be. It's that same thing you talked about. It's like you let your yes be yes, and let your no be no. When it inevitably fails, and at some point in your life, something's gonna fail. I've done it myself, where it's like, listen, there's two things that somebody taught me. It's like, listen, I need you to shut up and listen to me, even though I've told you 100 times, shut up and listen to me. And when you mess up, tell them you messed up, because they're more willing to forgive you if you tell them that you messed up than if you try to cover it up. And it's that yes be yes, no be no, where it's like, yes, I will do whatever you tell me, and I'm going to commit my word to it. And no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to commit my word to it. And it proves your accountability. It proves who you are. It proves what you are as a man. And that's, you know, at the end of the day, what my own father, that was the biggest figure for me, tried to teach me is like, this is more important than being strong. You know, clearly I listened to that because I'm not strong, but you know, that's kind of where we need to be, is that our words need to be strong. That word needs to be the strength that we find in.
Well, and even again on an everyday basis, when I first started in the field that I'm in, I service clients. When something goes wrong, because inevitably something's going to go wrong.
Always.
When I first started, it was always, all right, how do I get them to, you know, calm down? How do I like diffuse the situation, you know, and kind of just like smooth it over, right? And for a while I tried that, and you know, you're always met with resistance then. Like, I would try and smooth something over and kind of not give white lies, but just like
make it sound pretty.
Yeah, make it sound pretty, right? They're your clients. You want to make it sound pretty, and they always come back with, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And probably about a year and a half in, after talking to clients enough times for hours and hours a day, it clicked. And I'm like, I'm just going to start being straightforward with these people. They're adults. They can handle the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes the market's not good. Like, you know, and I get such a better response when I just say, markets were down this week, or whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, whatever.
Just give it to them straight, right? I'm not saying you can't still have a friendly demeanor when you're doing that, but I found that when working with people, just being honest with them.
Yeah.
And again, it did not come from a place of dishonesty when I was talking to them. It just, I don't want to upset them. I want to, you know, keep the client happy, right? Yeah. So you don't try and, you know, be abrupt with them or tell them, oh, well, this happened. But you know what they want? They want to know what happened. Yeah. They want the honest truth. They'd rather you just give it to me straight. And so, yeah, that's again a practical application, but I think that transfers over into the the spiritual world as well. Yeah. As a spiritual leader,
I think as we, you know, as a man, you inevitably get to this point where you become a leader of a household. If you get married and everything like that, you know, the Bible talks about us being a leader in the house. If just, you know, even a small, like, it's you and your wife, it's like, well, one of you's got to be the leader, you know. But, you know, you got to be truthful, because if you really try to downplay any sort of situation, it's just like, you're not helping, you're hurting this team. You're not being honest with me, and you're not caring. It would appear that you don't care, because you're like, I didn't tell you because I knew it would make you upset. It's like, we're a team in this, you know, and that's exactly what scriptural, you know, sometimes you just gotta play it straight, and it's hard because
it's not fun.
Yeah, because you're like, man, I can make this sound so much better.
Yeah,
I can make everything sound good.
I can paint this to be better, right? I can make this sound better. But you know what? Just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Tell them the truth. Get it over with. Be a man.
In the wise actions of Jesus, let me take this whip and start beating this temple people because they're being idiots right now.
I don't think that's exactly verbatim what the Bible says.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's.
But I get what you were going for.
That is actually, he did whip near people.
Near people.
He did not whip people.
I don't think he whipped people.
But
to go back to the household thing, though, inside of the household, I don't know why, but this is just something that I really want to, like, focus on, just me personally. But, like, preference, and I think it's preference. It's not like a man can do this and a woman can't. A woman can do this and a man can't, unless we're talking about pregnancy, which, you know. But
was it making a sandwich?
Unless we're talking about pregnancy.
Oh, I thought you said unless we're talking about making a sandwich. I was like, whoa.
Making a sandwich. My mom's the only one that can do that. Make sure you put the mustard on it. That's not what I said. So
thank you for clarifying. So I'm not an idiot.
The thing that I think is preference with having a woman do a job and having a man do a job, there's definitely preference. And for me, like, growing up, I think I'd prefer my mom to grab the peroxide and, you know, wipe my leg off with the blood that I, you know, tripped and hurt myself. But then there's, like, you know, there's just, I think there's things that you got to, like, definitely be aware of, that there's definitely preferences that you got to, like, know, I think.
Well, again, we have roles.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a mother's job to nurture their children. It's their role.
Even an instinct, but
yeah, it absolutely is.
I'm not going to say that a man couldn't do it, because I know
absolutely could.
I know that more commonly it's just like, listen, a mother wants to make sure their kids are okay. I mean, a dad wants to protect. Like, there's the two different responses here, where a dad sees a kid get hurt, right? And so the dad is trying to figure out, why did the kid get hurt?
Right. How do I make sure that doesn't happen again?
But the mother normally, I want to put that out there, is like, oh my goodness, let me care for this child. Right. And it's that teamwork.
Right.
Where you both are working together in two different ways, but you're both fixing that problem.
Right.
You know, it's that, once again, that mentality of, I don't need you to lose for me to win. You're a team here. You know, you're a husband and wife, and you're going to work together to raise the child the best way you can.
You said there was going to be noise, so
that's true.
We apologize.
We didn't expect it from our cameraman.
No,
our cameraman dropped the camera. But, yeah.
No, it's my cell phone.
Well, currently it's a camera.
Yeah, but they're going to know you dropped
it. It is a camera, but it's my cell phone.
All right, get in front of the camera. Apologize. No, I'm kidding.
Please apologize to my cell phone now.
Oh, it's all good.
No, it's not. Now.
But
remember, editor, I can make your life or destroy it.
Please do.
Just
That's
for
what
those,
I'm looking
feeling
for.
a good portion of this.
for those who didn't who
Yeah.
didn't hear, AJ said that he edits these videos and he can do whatever he wants to make them good or bad.
Yeah,
And so it is true.
So
It
we're
is-
being
it is
threatened by our cameraman.
That's wonderful.
He's not getting paid tonight.
But what I want to say is that it says in Ephesians here, 22 through 24. I'm just going to start here in 24. Therefore, as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. And we take that, and I think we get a big head, and that kind of thought kind of gets in our minds. But then if you read just before it in 5, which is 15 through 21, it says that see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. And it's kind of that thought process of we need to be wise, not just for us, but because we are taking this responsibility as leaders, and we're having hopefully wives that are submissive. Some they want to lead, and sometimes they're better at leading than we are. I'll admit that, but we need to take that time and to take the time because the days are evil. We need to redeem the time beforehand and get ourselves prepared before we jump into a leader. Like you said, a leader I want is somebody who wants to take a little bit of initiative and is not passive and why don't you guys tell me what we're doing? Redeem the time, get prepared, so that way you can help, because the times are evil.
Mm-hmm.
We got, as once again, that mentality of we have to protect. The times are evil, guys. The times are not good. Sin is abounding. There's evil everywhere. We need to make sure that we are protectors and leaders of our households and be wise in these different circumstances.
I think we need servant leadership too.
Yeah.
Not being afraid to do what you're leading other people to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're the lead janitor,
Yeah.
Go clean the worst toilet.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You should be right there with them.
Yeah.
Right?
I love what it says, because this is something I did want to say as well, is in Mark 10, 42 through 45, New King James Version. It talks about Jesus, and all the disciples were like, Jesus, I want to sit next to you when we get into heaven. Come on, I want to sit next to you when we get into heaven. They all wanted to be this best kind of person. It says, but Jesus called them to himself, and they said to him, those who are considered rulers over the Gentiles, lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. These great people. And yet it will not be so among you. But whoever desires to become great among you shall be servants. And whosoever desires to be the first shall be a slave to all. Even for the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. And it's that exact thing that we need to do as leaders, as the people. We take a leadership role, but we need to be servants.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be open and malleable. Take it from the old lady and learn from her. And be that good person, be as Christ came down and was a servant. We need to be servants to those who we lead as men, and other men that we're around. It's very, very true.
That's good.
And I think, even talking about a household, we need to pass down what it is to be a man. I think of a lot of different men that just were in our church that were just like, hey, do this, hey, do that. And they taught me how to be a better man, passing it down. And, as I'm getting older now, I want to do the exact same thing. I want to keep passing down, what it means to be a man, but not just, any man. I want to be a good biblical man, and pass things down,
Yeah, there always has to be the caring about the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, I want to have kids. When I have kids, I don't want to just be a good man for me. I want to see my young children become good men and women.
Yeah.
In the same way that I want to be that good man and I want my wife to be a good woman. There has to be that training with your children.
Yeah.
Because I think we see a lot in our current generation where that was missed. Right?
It was.
And I'm blaming the past generation.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the issues today came from obviously single parent households.
It's hard.
It is. It's hard. And I know, it is what it is. But your kids need that.
Yeah.
Your kids need a mother
somebody.
and a father.
Yeah.
Right.
And sure, one can do it, but your kids need both. They need to learn strength from their dad. They need to learn, gentleness from their mother. They need that mix. And I think we have a society that doesn't have.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find a good family.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, both a mother and a father are here, and it's like, oh, really? That's good.
It's just not common anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's important when, as being a man now at our age, I know that there's not a lot of people that look up to us, but there is people that look up to us, and it's important to now become the person that we all have a person that we look up to, that, like we've said, like, for instance, for me, I look up to Michael. Michael's a good person for me to look up to, and I'm like, okay, so if I want to be someone that is faith-filled, someone that is like looking to do whatever I possibly can to help others, not my will, but yours be done.
Yeah.
Not mine, but yours.
Yeah.
Because it's not about us. Yeah, there has to be a leader, but ultimately God is a commander in chief. Like if we don't have him at the center of our lives, then what are we doing? Like we have to, because that's the only way to be a good leader, is because we've learned from the best.
Yeah. And
you can't learn from someone that is a bottom barrel, someone that is like trying to just be like, well, I'm scraping by, I got a couple dollars in my bank account. I think I'm doing okay. Like I have enough money for a chicken sandwich at McDonald's. No, I want to go out and like have a full course meal. I want to have the steak, everything. And then, you want dessert? Yeah, go ahead and get dessert, kids. Like, that's the man that I want to become. I don't want to be, like, full of money. But, like, I want to be wealthy in every single aspect. In God, in everything that I can get from him. In money? Yeah, sure. Because why not? Like, we're not going to be here forever. And money doesn't go with you, so don't worship it. But, yeah, rack up as much as you possibly can. And then give. And then like make that something that is like, okay, I have a lot of money. Those people over there don't have a car. I have a lot of money. Here's a car for you. I'm not telling you to like do that for everybody, but like if you have that ability, what is stopping you? Be a leader. Be somebody that's like, I have this for you. Enjoy it. Yeah. I'm not looking for anything back. But what I want you to do is I want you to give it tenfold to the next guy. I want you to be like, okay, I was given this, and now I'm going to give you that. Or whatever it is, like giving your time, giving your resources, whatever it is. Give it, and don't be stingy. Whatever you can afford, you might not be able to afford everything, but like, just give. Yeah. Be the leader that you want to follow. Yeah. Not be the leader that others want to see. Be the leader that you personally want to follow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you'll never regret giving.
No.
I've never given anyone anything that I've regretted.
Yeah.
No, that's a lie. You ever give a pop gun to a kid?
I won't do that. But you'll never regret giving.
No.
Right.
Even and what we heard it growing up, you can't outgive God.
Right.
Yeah.
And not I'm not saying, okay, well, you should give so that God will give back to you. That's not. But when you give, God gives back. I mean, it might not. Maybe I give my finances, right? God doesn't always just throw more finances at me, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes maybe God gives you health.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's worth thinking about it that way.
Yeah.
God always gives back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can't outgive God, but you'll never regret giving.
Right.
You just won't.
I think of times personally where, I never, there's moments in my life where my family was dirt poor, and you're just like, man, I have nothing right now, and it's just, you realize that for me, money isn't important, because there's so much you can give of your time and of just like showing up. Mm-hmm. The one thing that like always stuck with me as a kid was like, my dad's like, I'm going to show up to every single one of your baseball games. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Dad, well, you don't have to come to every single one of these. Like, they're like, I'm not even playing today. But like, it was more important that he showed up and gave me that time. And I even, this week, there was somebody who was having the absolute worst day at work. And I was like, you know what? We're going to go get a sandwich at the sandwich shop.
Yeah.
And he's like, this really made my day.
Right.
And that's
those little things.
It's the things that you give. Like would I love to give a car out to everybody like Oprah? Sure, but I know that was like
I think she just does it for the tax break.
I mean, but I know that like to me that's like one of the least important things. Like, oh, you just gave me a car, great, And I think of somebody that's in this room is going to lose his job very soon, and he's he came to me and said, God's got it under control. I'm good. And he's got bills to pay. He's got things to do. Right. And I straight up went up to him and was like, listen, I would panic. I would physically panic and have a panic attack about losing my job. And he's like, God's got it under control. And I was like, what? But like,
it's good.
That's where we need to be. It's like, give so much that you just keep giving.
Right.
And entirely put your faith in God.
Yeah, you got faith that God's going to make
it work. And like, that's like, for me, I am a coward. I fully admit I'm a coward. But like, that's the kind of faith we need to have. Mm-hmm. Is like,
God's got me.
I just lost my job, but God will provide.
Yeah. And then kind of just to wrap things up, we're kind of at the point where we're getting done. So
yes, we are.
I want to share this last point that I wrote in my notes. Courage is the choice to face pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation, and to make good choices in the face of obstacles. Courage is a choice, but it's also a lifestyle, knowing that no matter what comes your way, you're choosing to be courageous.
Yeah.
A man. You have to be courageous. You have to be, because if you're not a good leader. You have to have your full faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You have to be like, I'm done living for me, and I'm ready to live for you. And it's about that. It's about like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And what are we doing it for? Are we living our lives for ourselves? Why? What's the point? Are we living our lives for ourselves? And if the answer is yes, I want to welcome you to maybe accepting the fact that there's a better outcome out there. There's a God that loves you and is ready to take you in with open arms. He's ready to be like, you're my son. You're my daughter. I have more for you. I have better for you. So let's do it. Mm-hmm. Let's come back to God. If you're not with God right now, if you've never been with God before, it's time. It's time.
We got a Facebook. It's Nate and Tim.
Yeah.
Message us.
Yeah.
I mean, we love to talk to you, but like, know that what we do, we don't just do for us. You know, at the end of the day, the number one thing that I think all men try to teach us, you know, whether it was at our church, whether, outside, we were very fortunate, but we were always taught, you know what, we're going to give it to God.
Right.
Today we're going to serve for God.
Right.
Today we're going to worship for God.
Right.
And, it all comes down to that.
Yep.
It's for God.
Yep.
And
that's true. So I'll end us in prayer, and then we will see you next time. But anyway, nice. God, thank you for my brothers that are sitting with me, my literal brother and my brother in Christ. God, I thank you for their lives. I thank you for both of them. They are men that I've looked at them and I've been like, there's things that they do that I just want to be like. There's things that they do that I'm like, I want to be like that. And there's men that I've seen in my life that are like, okay, Nate, you shouldn't be doing that. So do better and be more like a man. So I gotta pray for these two guys, the camera guy and every guy in this world that is listening to our podcast, and just every guy in general. God, I pray that you show us to be courageous. You show us to be more like a man. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Yeah. Put it down in the comments if you want to say something. We will absolutely try to respond to you guys.
Yes, we will.
So thank you for joining us again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.